Hello, everybody. Welcome to Up and Down Shift, the podcast where we talk all about Formula One. And as always, I'm joined with Owen.
Yo.
And we are going to be talking about some Formula One, especially the Australian Grand Prix, what's coming up on the weekend. Do you have any thoughts about the Australian Grand Prix on the weekend?
Nothing too.
Just another Red Bull dominance, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, same as always. Mercedes. Do you reckon they'll finish in front of Ferrari? I mean, they did last time. 2 cars, actually.
Yeah, they might do, but to be fair, in my opinion, Mercedes is Australia's best track. So,
yeah,
Australia's Mercedes' best track, not Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it proved last year. I think they did quite well last year.
Yeah, so they might go straight into first and second. Depends how well they do.
Yeah. Okay. I think we should get straight into these questions because obviously we need the break and you need to go. So, question 1. Let me just load it up. Who will win in Australia? What do you think?
I mean, I think it'll be a very close, podium rolls between Red Bull, maybe Mercedes, but definitely Fernando Alonso.
It'd be nice to see Mercedes get on maybe the third step, definitely not the second or first, because that will probably be Perez or Verstappen. Even though if one of them did DNF, it'd definitely be Alonso. But where do you think? Do you think Mercedes maybe could get onto that third step?
I mean, they might be able to if they try hard enough, but it's all a game of luck.
I think all we need to be talking about is who is going to win, Perez or Verstappen.
I mean, I think it could be Perez because he seems like a better driver.
He seems to be, especially last race, and I know Verstappen had the penalty last race and he put him way all the back onto 15th on the grid. I think Perez seems really more determined, maybe because he hasn't won 2 championships like Verstappen. We can argue Verstappen only won 1 championship, but I don't want to get into that debate. So who comes last then? And I include this, but I just want to ask you what your opinion think who's going to come last.
Who's going to come last?
Yeah.
Well,
or what team constructor?
Oh, that's tough.
Last time we saw AlphaTauris and the McLarens mainly at the back.
Yeah, I don't think the McLarens will be at the back because the only reason why the McLarens were at the back is because, as we said last time, we were on about the
reliability issues.
Yeah, it was Norris's front wing. It shot off and hit.
Yeah, Piastri also, as coming into like the third corner of the first lap, he took a bit of damage from the wall, I think, or it might have been another car.
I think it was a mix of both.
Yeah. But anyway, I think we should go into the next question. Obviously, we're going to release a video dedicated to Australia. That should be with you by tomorrow night. Depends when I get time to edit it. But anyway, let's move into the next question. Can McLaren improve on one of the worst starts ever on F1?
Yes, I think they can.
Do you think they can improve? Do you think their car is faster than so do you think it's a midfield car or do you think maybe it is a back grid car?
I mean, I think it's a midfield car, but I think it's still a top midfield car, so fighting for 4th and 5th.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they've had a chance to prove it yet, of course, because we just talked about Lando Norris and Piastri. Our first 2 races picked up lots of, it's not their problem for the DNFs. DNFs have come from just unlucky and bad luck, really. But of course they can improve. McLaren, obviously a great team. They've just sacked their technical director. They're obviously going to bring a new one in. I'd like to see who they bring in. There's a couple of people available right now. Would you got to say on the McLaren of their sacking their technical director? Do you think maybe I think he's been there for about 3 seasons now. The cars he's produced obviously haven't been top standard. Do you see them improving with hiring a better technical director?
I mean, it does all depend on whether he is a better technical director. Yeah. I mean, if it's not, then they've completely flunked out because they've just pretty much shot themselves in the foot.
Because the cars definitely haven't been to the standard when they had Adrian Newey.
Yeah.
Who is now the Red Bull technical director and does all their cars.
Mm.
Okay. I think we should move into the next question. We're going to fly through these, but then we'll be back with some more questions. Can Piastri challenge Lando Norris this season? We've seen a very, very good pace from him, especially in qualifying, especially for Piastri. Of course, he hasn't got the experience yet to quite challenge with the rest. I'd say I don't think he has the experience to challenge with Lando Norris quite yet, but I want to see what you think. Do you think Piastri can challenge Lando Norris?
I mean, with enough time and dedication, because I mean, he's not even been in it for a full season yet.
Yeah, last race was his first full race, so everyone else
so
races.
he's not even been able to do his full potential, so we can't exactly decide on that immediately.
And plus, it's his home race. He is Australian,
so that might bring him a bit closer.
I believe if they get given a good car where they can actually compete with teams, I think we can see their full potential. Of course, we've already seen Lando's full potential going up. Carlos Sainz and Ricciardo, of course, who Ricciardo had to leave in the end because Lando Norris, of course, we beat him essentially. But yeah, of course, Piastri can challenge Lando Norris, but I think it all comes down to experience in F1. Obviously, Piastri won the F2 championship in 2021. Then he signed for Alpine last year. Then all that big controversial stuff between Alpine, McLaren, even Aston Martin, and all them teams because of Sebastian Vettel retiring. But he's obviously come over a lot of controversy, Piastri, and I'd love to see him do well against Lando Norris. Anyway, next question. Can Williams come higher than McLaren this season? What do you think?
I don't really think they can, because although they were higher than McLaren in the last race,
yeah,
McLaren's car is better than Williams.
Yeah.
Because what is it now in the what is it usually? Because I mean, although it's
McLaren always
season,
last couple of seasons, McLaren dominate Williams. But Williams, of course, they've got the 1 point from Alex Albon.
Fair.
But can they finish higher than McLaren? I think if McLaren sort their liability issues out, of course they can. But I don't think this is the same McLaren we've seen over the last couple of seasons. Especially with having a rookie in their seat, which they haven't had a rookie since 2019, of course, with Lando Norris. But Lando Norris was, of course, an exceptionally good driver. Can Piastri score points? I mean, if he's given a chance to score points, I believe probably can. We haven't really seen much from Piastri, so we can't really say much, especially with the last question. But overall, do you think the Williams can finish near the McLaren?
I mean, they might be able to finish near, depending if what we're saying about the McLaren being worse is true. But if it's not, then Williams will stay bottom of the grid. Not bottom, not dead bottom, but like back of the grid.
I mean, I think the Williams car looks quite good this season. Yep. Okay. I think we come to a conclusion that we don't think Williams can finish above McLaren, but they can come close to McLaren. Right. Let's go into our next question. This is our second to last question before we go into the break. Lando Norris or Mick Schumacher for a Mercedes seat if Lewis Hamilton does retire eventually. What's your take on this?
Ooh, that's...
Of course, Mick Schumacher raced for Haas last season. Lando Norris could have been the Red Bull driver 2 years ago when Checo was looking for when obviously they appointed Checo because Lando signed the long-term contract with McLaren. Of course, that long-term project he had with McLaren hasn't worked out, especially this season, obviously because the car has been delivered. Who do you think overall is the better driver?
This might sound biased, and it might be a bit biased just because I'm more of a McLaren and Aston Martin fan. Yeah. But I definitely think Lando Norris might be a slightly better driver.
Yep. Okay.
Because he was offered a seat in Red Bull, which is one of the big six.
Yeah.
Was Schumacher offered that?
Well, Schumacher was in the Ferrari Academy.
Oh, fair point.
But the only thing with Schumacher is he's definitely not experienced as Lando Norris.
Yeah.
And Mick Schumacher has become the reserve driver, of course, at Mercedes. So he probably will have the upper hand from Toto, of course, because they're friends. And he's got the Schumacher name. Let's not forget that. Michael Schumacher, 7-time world champion. Level with Lewis. But of course, Mick Schumacher being in the Ferrari Academy went to Haas, which were powered by Ferrari. He did all right at Haas, but he did cause the team lots of money and damages. That's why he left there. He's currently reserve driver for Mercedes, which is decent. Lando Norris, though, I do believe he is the better driver out of the two because he's more experienced.
Yeah.
But I think if you give Mick Schumacher more time, maybe he could sign for another team for a season or so, and then maybe we can see what he does at Mercedes.
Mm.
Right, let's go into our last question before we go into the break. What is the slowest car this year from the two races we've seen? What do you think?
Well, I know McLaren was back of the grid, but that's only because of the technical difficulties.
Yeah, but it
I
wasn't
can't exactly remember who came last back of the grid.
I think last season.
No, this last race.
Last race, it would have been dominated by probably the AlphaTauris.
Just checking on the leaderboards now. It was AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think the Alfa Romeo though is the slowest car. I think that's quite a quick car this season.
Yeah,
it was at the start of last season.
I think that was down to just unluckiness.
Yeah, personally, I think the AlphaTauris are the slowest. I don't think McLaren are the slowest, but I don't think the car is particularly quick this season. Of course, I don't think Alfa Romeo's car is slow at all. Williams, they look pretty decent this year. I don't think they're the worst team this year, but they could fall back during the year, like we saw with Alfa Romeo. They were challenging pretty much Mercedes at the start of last season, when we saw them fall back quite a lot. But we can't really judge from the last two races because one of them's been the fastest street circuit, and then the first race you could just have technical difficulties like what McLaren did. I think this Australian Grand Prix really sums up a lot because we get to see, because it's filled with quite a lot of straights and you need fast pace on the Australian Melbourne track. I think we'll see the raw pace of all the cars, and then we can make a judgment after. But we are going to be back at 6:30. And we'll see you all then. Bye.